Hello, welcome back here in the Cadence Weather Center. Right now, today it is June 7th, 2025. We're continuing to pay attention here to a multi-day severe weather outbreak, and we're continuing to watch that as it continues on. Right now, tomorrow is what we're going to be mostly paying attention to, as there's a moderate risk for severe weather and mostly going to possibly be a derecho. If you don't know what a derecho is, stay tuned. I will explain it as we get into the video here. But right now, let's just hop right in and see kind of what are we looking at right now across the United States. What are we currently looking at? Well, we can obviously see some heavy rain showers and maybe even some flash flooding continuing on over here in the northeastern part of the United States here. And then we have, obviously, this is where our severe weather risk is today. This will eventually make its way off to the east here, but we're possibly going to be seeing some more storms here for Oklahoma and Texas tomorrow. So if you've been living in Oklahoma and Texas and and you've been seeing these thunderstorms, well, get prepared for some more to show up. The rest of the United States, very, very quiet here. Not much going on, but we have that flash flooding threat that's going on in the northeast, the severe weather threat that's continuing through Tennessee all the way into Alabama, expected to change as we go through Oklahoma and Texas, and we'll get into that as well. And then Missouri, that flash flood warning right there. Most of these are just radar indicated right now. Taking a look here at the satellite picture, kind of what are we looking at? Well, you can obviously see not a lot of thunderstorm activity obviously going on now in the central part of the United States here, but that will change as we go into tomorrow. You can definitely see that's where our biggest severe weather threat for today is right now, going through Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. You can definitely see those very large and big thunderstorm clouds kind of on satellite there. That's kind of what we're going to be looking at here. And we're going to be seeing some of this, start to pop up once again in Oklahoma and Texas, and that's kind of what we'll see here. Taking a look here even at the IR satellite loop here, we can obviously see there's those thunderstorms that are continuing on, starting to ramp up maybe a little bit more than they started doing this morning. Earlier this morning, they were pretty more spread out here through Arkansas and maybe even southern Missouri, but now kind of in a little bit more of a condensed area, but now starting to possibly gain a little bit more strength here and maybe some more possible stronger winds as we go on, because that's been our biggest threat. That's going to be our biggest threat is tomorrow. That's going to be our biggest threat, and today it's our biggest threat that we've been continuing to watch for. But hopping into tomorrow, this is Sunday, so at the end of the weekend here, we can see that moderate risk continuing on down here in southern Oklahoma, going into northern Texas here. We can see the enhanced risk also goes deeper into Oklahoma and deeper into Texas. As the slight risk, we have two different slight areas right here. The slight risk continues on over here for the East Coast, stretching all the way from Georgia all the way into parts of Maryland, Virginia. And then we also have the slight weather risk kind of continuing on in this general area right here as well. So still some very interesting things that we're still going to be continuing to pay attention to, but right now our main area will be in the Oklahoma region, and you can see it. Let's take a look here by the cities. You can obviously see a good thing, Oklahoma City, Norman, you guys are in just the enhanced risk, but that doesn't rule out some pretty big storms there. Lawton, Altus, and Armador, hopefully I'm saying all these right. You guys are in that moderate risk, and we'll get down to Texas here in a second, but and then the rest of the northern and the panhandle for Oklahoma is in that slight risk, but still, once again, even though you're in the slight risk compared to the moderate risk, yes, your storms won't be as bad, but you still will be getting something that could possibly lead to some pretty big thunderstorm activity and maybe some damaging winds. Once again, that's what we're paying attention to majority of this severe weather threat tomorrow. Taking a look right now here into Texas, you can obviously see Dallas, Fort Worth. You guys are in that enhanced area. Lubbock as well, you guys are in that enhanced risk as well. Wichita Falls, Childress, you guys are in this area for the moderate risk. Could we see an extension or a bit more of a wider area tomorrow? We possibly could. It just depends on what we're looking at with the forecast here. And if we take a look here at the HRRR model, what are we kind of generally looking at? Well, you kind of can see over here currently, this is the storms currently going on. You can see some rain showers continuing from Missouri even into southern Iowa, but our biggest severe weather threat for today at least is kind of in this general area right here with some pretty large and gusty winds. Very quiet over here in Oklahoma and Texas. That will change as we head into maybe even tonight, later tonight, 10 p.m. here. We could be seeing some of these little thunderstorms starting to form up here in parts of central Texas, going into southern Oklahoma, and even in the northern part of Texas here, the panhandle of Texas, we could be seeing that. Then we'll see those storms kind of die out as we head in throughout the middle of the night here, but then tomorrow where we're going to really start to see these storms just ramp up. So you can see 3 p.m. You can see, if you're watching this general area here, 4 p.m., this general area, this is where we'll be seeing that major, just blow-ups of thunderstorms here going through Oklahoma. So tomorrow evening, this is where we're going to be seeing a majority of our severe weather threat, and it's really when we have this right here. So around midnight, so in 40 hours, we could be seeing the possibility here of some pretty large gusty winds and maybe some hail. We do have that significant threat for hail. No significant tornado, big threat, but definitely I would say, just in case, be prepared for anything like that. But winds are going to be very, very fierce tomorrow evening, and that's something that we want to continue to watch very, very closely, and we're going to want to just pay attention to very closely anyways. So if you live in Oklahoma and you live in Texas, this line of thunderstorms here around tomorrow night, we could be seeing some pretty large and gusty winds, maybe even up into tropical storm, maybe even hurricane force, and that will continue to move off to the east here and start to die down as it gets into parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, and then even into Mississippi. But this will definitely go on throughout the overnight hours tomorrow night heading into Monday, and will continue to push off to the east heading into early Monday and into the middle of the day on Monday, and will start to die down as we head into early Monday morning. Taking a look at a different model run here, you can obviously see with the RGEM, not very much. This kind of just gives you a general idea on where the storms could definitely be located, and the biggest of storms, and where they could be necessarily being put. You can see right here kind of the same time frame, it seems, maybe a little earlier here, but more down here into the Texas region. I would trust more of the HRRR model, but this is just one model to look at here. Not as severe according to this model here, but maybe some random showers and thunderstorms also during that day in the afternoon, but we'll obviously have to see what the HRRR model says here in the future. Let's take a look at the GFS. What is the rainfall threat that we are currently going to be looking at here? Well, we do have that possibility for some pretty big rainfall totals to start. This is on June 8th here, so this is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Already going to be seeing some of that higher rainfall totals here, reaching up into 4 inches, maybe even 5 inches of rain. We're going to see that kind of get really deeper here in the Texas and Oklahoma border. We're going to see that continuing on, and then really as we head into June 13th here, as these random storm zones or storm threats are just going to keep coming in, and they're going to bring a flash flooding threat here. You can see this little yellow and reddish area. If you look on the right side of your screen, that's exactly what we could be looking at here in inches, maybe even a foot of rain in some areas here in Oklahoma and Texas. And then, this is according to the GFS, and maybe even Arkansas and maybe even southern Missouri. So something to pay attention to as these rainfall threats keep showing up and they continue to keep going. We're going to continue to see some of these rain severe systems continuing to move off to, from the west to the east, especially in this general area, and that's going to cause, just a multi-day severe weather outbreak, and that's obviously multi-days of just, heavy rainfall at times. But, I want to generally look at here, at the GFS model. Look at this. So we're going to be seeing, obviously, this right here tomorrow night here in southern Oklahoma. We're going to see that continuing on, and then we're going to see, maybe another one here according to the GFS, June 11th. Now we're starting to get farther out with the GFS here, so it won't be as accurate, but look at that. There's another one right here on June 14th, maybe a little bit of more of rainfall threat there and some thunderstorms. A little bit of a break there, and then we kind of can see the scattered showers, thunderstorms just randomly popping up in some areas that could lead to a little bit more some possible flooding there, and that's just really going to be something to continue to pay attention to very closely here. So we're going to want to keep an eye on that very, very closely. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you do live in Oklahoma and Texas, please be weather aware, following your National Weather Service and any weather station that you do watch. Make sure that you guys are paying attention to that and you guys are staying safe out there and making sure that you are trying to stay off the roads just in case, because tomorrow we're going to probably see some pretty big winds here, maybe even hurricane force winds, which is over 75-mile-an-hour winds. So we're going to keep an eye on that very closely, as well as I'm going to be talking about the tropics probably tomorrow here, as we are going to be having some tropical systems in the eastern Pacific, and then we'll also talk about what the Atlantic could be seeing soon. As of right now, not much for the Atlantic, but we'll talk about the reason why the Atlantic is so quiet right now, and why it could possibly be for the rest of the month here and maybe even into July. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to stay safe out there. Make sure to follow my X page down in the description for more information on the weather or more updates or anything. I post regularly on there, so make sure you guys check that out as well. And I also have now just made a Discord, so if you love talking about weather and you love just watching weather stations, and if you love taking pictures of the weather, perfect place for you guys to join. So that will also be down in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and bye bye.